I'm back for one last time. This is going to be the conclusion. As you can see, I'm wearing my pin that I earned, and I don't really have a script for this. This is just kind of my thoughts. So, when you saw what it was just the whole trip. I was basically one step away from disaster the whole way, getting stranded, which of course did ultimately happen there in Centerville. It's a good thing that I had planned for that. Now, when I tried to carry this out, I did the best I could to try to purge my mountains of privilege from from the system, from what I was doing, trying to purge that influence, but I know I didn't get it all. Okay, I certainly didn't. Maybe I had too much money on hand. Maybe I had a little more on my card than I should have, but I had to balance between, making it a realistic simulation and giving myself a good enough chance of succeeding to where I could chart the path to make these videos. So I had that tension there between those two, and so it was what it was. So I hope this was helpful to someone. Maybe it was a lot of work to put together. So I did, and there's really just the bottom line is, Maryland, you got to do better than this. There's just no excuse for getting to Ocean City without a car being this darn hard. And this is why when your your own darn DOT is complaining about the Chesapeake Bay Bridge taking too much damage from too much traffic, and yet you give you don't give people any viable option. You turn a 3-hour drive into a 2-day odyssey. It's just by transit, or maybe you could probably do it in one day from Baltimore, going up to Wilmington through Dart, but it's in it's still, even that's going to be 16 hours. So yeah, you got to do better than this. There's no excuse for this. And I do wonder, I I know it's a serious charge, and I'm not actually making it, but people who know more about the situation than I do might want to look in, but I do raise the possibility. I think people should, I think this should be looked into. If it is not made this hard intentionally because of homophobia against the people in Ocean City, the community there. It's, like I say, not actually making the charge, but the possibility exists. Because that part of Maryland, and that raises the next issue, that I am aware of the existence of Rehoboth, Delaware. So some people might be wondering why I didn't choose Rehoboth as the destination instead of Ocean City. Well, there's a few reasons for that. First of all, from what I can tell, getting to Rehoboth is not that hard. Delaware is actually reasonably well connected. There is an issue that I'll get into when I do the transit tier list, which I'm going to consider bonus content. That said, there so Ocean City is more famous and it's more difficult to get to. I guess you could make the argument that if it's easier to get to, it'll just be easier for MAGA morons to intrude on. But the MAGA morons are the ones who can afford cars and great big old trucks, so it it doesn't really hurt them. It's hurting the people in the marginalized communities who need to get away from those morons. And that's what's really sad about all of this. And that raises the next issue that historically, yes, Ocean City has been a refuge for members of, as an outsider, I gotta choose my words super carefully here, so I'm not really sure exactly how to say it, but I've heard a couple of different opinions. But the the non-straight community is so the non-straight communities, there's more than one, has historically had Ocean City as somewhat of a sanctuary, but it has voted for MAGA morons in the last several election cycles. And so that then raises the question of how much longer is it going to remain a sanctuary? And should it fall, then it might not so much be, it would definitely be a situation of escape from Ocean City, not to it. So the fact that I documented this transit is actually a good thing because they need to get out of here. If that sanctuary falls and they need to, Delaware would be the closest safe place they can get to, and I've documented, so they can just run it backwards, just like I did, to when I left Ocean City on the 432 to Salisbury, and from there you can take the 116 up to Del Mar, and then take DART to anywhere in Delaware, or from there further up or down the northeast corridor. You see, perhaps I should have, some people, I should have made it escape to Baltimore, but the thing about that is I did document the transit routes in and out of Baltimore a little bit as an aside. Overall, especially my Virginia Breeze content was quite useful for that. So overall, but it's not that hard. It's just I could have taken the bus straight to Baltimore from Charlottesville if I'd have wanted to. I chose the train because or even to Philadelphia. I chose the train because it had a better stop for a connection to get to my hotel, and also I wanted to, my secondary goal of using zero emissions transit whenever possible came into play there. And to be fair, it was cheaper. The train was cheaper than the darn bus on that leg. Now, coming back from Baltimore, the train, as I mentioned, was way more expensive. But at that point, I'd already completed most of my primary objectives, and so I had the money left over to go ahead and do that to help the planet a little bit, and also send a bit of a message to Mark that what they are doing is complete foolishness. Run 1% of America's railroads are electrified. It's one of the things that pisses me off to no end. I know, right? There's so many things to be pissed off about right now, but our endless addiction to oil from the Middle East and all the illegal foreign wars we're fighting over there and having mercenaries fight over there. It's just ridiculous. The amount of money that we're wasting on doing all of that could so much better be spent to break our addiction to foreign oil. Put this in perspective here. Uncle Sam blew $2 trillion to hell fighting the illegal war in Iraq. I mean, just the war in Iraq. We're not even talking about Afghanistan or all the money they're giving to the occupied territories and all that other foolishness. Oh my gosh, this pisses me off so much. So, but at the same time that W was planning to start the illegal war in Iraq, the Chinese government was looking at similar calculations, and they decided that instead of going to war to secure their oil supply, they would put that same money into breaking their economy's dependence on oil. And look at the results. Okay, I mean, look, I'm not, I've worked with the Tibetan community. I'm not some shill for the Chinese government. But on this issue, I hate to say it, I really do, as a supporter of Tibet, I really hate to say it, but on this issue, the Chinese have absolutely done a far better job of handling this issue, and now they're positioned to run the next century. And I don't know if that can be prevented at this point, if they have just gone to such a degree. Anyway, I got a little sidetracked there. Like I said, I didn't script this. These are my authentic thoughts that I'm coming up with based on everything, on what I saw on my trip. So, we're going to shift gears a little bit here. Now, the whole thing about being that it's this, there, like I said earlier, there is just no excuse for it to be this bloody hard to get from Baltimore to Ocean City by any means other than driving. Absolutely none. And yes, I am aware of the existence of the Bay Runner. They charge about $175. It's just a glorified taxi to shove you into a van for 5 hours on the trip down there. It's ridiculous. I suspect that they're part of the reason that there's no bus down there, at least not one that doesn't require a massive detour around the bay, or takes 2 days to catch. That was ridiculous too. We're going to go over that. We're going to cover in the transit tier list. So we're going to shift gears a little bit here. Just going to hold up 1 minute for a reset. Solution to all this foolishness. Well, I give you this. This is my proposal. And I have to stress here, this is just a proposal. This bus does not currently exist. I call this the Maryland Bay Breeze. And it will serve as a commuter bus between Baltimore and Ocean City. My vision for this is that it would run twice a day in each direction during the tourist season, and once a day in the off season, with stops in, I would say a good starting point would be the Amtrak station at BWI. That way it can avoid the Baltimore traffic, but it's easy enough to shoot into Baltimore on the Northeast Corridor on MARC and Amtrak, or it's a quick shuttle bus ride, which by the way is an electric bus now, so that's pretty cool, from the Amtrak station to the light rail station to go into Baltimore that way as well. So, and there's bus service at BWI as well, both commuter and local. And so then from there, the bus should go down to Annapolis, somewhere near Annapolis, ideally Church Circle. The other buses don't seem to have a problem getting in there, so Church Circle would be perfect, the center of transit in the Annapolis area. From there, I think the bus should go across the bay, on the Bay Bridge, an optional stop at the Kent Island Park and Ride to maybe add an extra commuter bus here. There already is a commuter bus that goes that far, so I know a coach bus can make it across the Bay Bridge. So from there, I would say the bus should go make a stop somewhere. Let's see here. I have to see if it stopped at Kent Island. Somewhere where it could connect easily with DCT. Centerville is a little too far north. We want this thing to get moving. So let's take a look at this. Actually is part I kind of forgot about this part. So let's take a look at this. Where would be a good stop? Anyway, so from there it should then go down here to Cambridge and make a stop there, and then go again to Salisbury, make a stop at Calvert Street to connect with DCT and Shore Transit. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. And then run possible stop at the community college. Yeah, there was a community college somewhere up in here. Can't remember the name of it. But yeah, that could be a good stop for it over here. And that is connected to the 4 on DCT. So that would be great. Anyway, possible stop at the community college and the flex bus, or the flex bus stop. I wouldn't do both. That would take too long. Ideally, it should stop at Calvert Street, but it might have trouble getting in there. There are some low bridges in Salisbury. So, but the flex bus stop is ridiculous. It's way out in the sticks. It's an hour walk to the nearest local transit stop. Anyway, from there, it should run express to the Ocean City transit station, the former Ocean City train station. Like I say, it should have 2 runs during the peak season and 1 run. This is based on, there's already 4 bus routes that offer very similar service to this in Virginia, the Virginia Breeze routes, like the Piedmont Express that I was on. It was and Coach USA is authorized to operate in Maryland, and the bridges along here are all big enough on 50 for vehicles of this size. So there shouldn't be any clearance issues. Really, this should be, this is just such a no-brainer. It just operate just like the Virginia Breeze. And Coach USA already runs commuter buses for Maryland. And many, actually, other companies do as well. So Maryland has plenty of choices. Heck, maybe they could even get FlexBus would be a possibility. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them, but it wouldn't be my first choice. But if it was them or nothing, or the status quo, I'd give them a chance. So the Annapolis stop will add some time to this trip, but it will make it so much more useful that I think it's worth it. And especially making up for it by not trying to get into Baltimore, but just going to BWI. And this would make traveling between these two points so much easier, and yes, it would cost some money to do it, but it would save. But by reducing, a lot of people hate driving over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and after riding county rides across it, I can see why. So if you were to offer a bus that could get you from Baltimore to Ocean City in a reasonable amount of time, I think it would be a massive hit. So, yeah, Maryland, there's really no excuse for why this doesn't exist. There you have it, the Maryland Bay Breeze. Now, this route, by the way, that I created is approximate, so there could be some changes, but I'd say just follow 50. So, yeah, there you have it, the Maryland Bay Breeze. What a difference this would have made. I wouldn't even have really needed to make this video series if this bus existed. So I think there is a possibility the reason it doesn't exist is because of homophobia. Although, yeah, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just standard incompetence on the part of state agencies. But regardless, this is something that should exist, and hopefully will within a few years. So there you have it, the Maryland Bay Breeze. Lastly, I'd like to say that I know it might be hard to believe, but not everyone who looks like me has it out for marginalized communities or supports what's happening to various marginalized communities being attacked by MAGA and the state forces here, or what's going on in the attacks on Gaza and all the other foolishness that people with my background are causing basically everywhere. So, and I don't know I know that might sound like just excuses, but I'm trying to do what little bit I can with what I have. So I am trying to do something here, and by me making these videos, I know that I am potentially putting myself in danger, and I don't actually need to do that. I do have some degree of autism, so it's probably why these videos are such a mess. But anyway, I have gotten a very, very small amount of legitimate discrimination in my life, which is not cool, but it's still, it's still nothing compared to, well, it's never nothing, but it's still a very minor issue compared to what a lot of other people are getting. And now that I've made these videos, I may potentially be targeted by by MAGA morons both within and outside the state. And that is a little bit scary, but YouTube has its rules, but I do have, and yes, I know I'm not trying to give any kind of holier than thou thing. I've done some pretty atrocious things in my life, but probably, I mean, for goodness sake, I was actually in the military for 6 years, although I was only I never went further than Missouri, but still, what I was doing, the work I was doing stateside was freeing up people to go commit war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan, so I bear some responsibility for that. I also worked for a year and a half in an armaments factory. COVID did end up making me get out of that, but yeah, so there you go. That's my confession. So if you think, so yeah, if you want to hate me, well, frankly, I deserve it. But I am trying to show that I'm on a better path. I'm trying to get on a better path now, and it's not bloody easy. I know, but I'll always be. But can't change the past, unfortunately. But I'm trying to make a better future. So, there you go. Sorry to end. This whole thing has been kind of a downer. Probably just destroyed all my points, but it was going to come out anyway, so I might as well have just said it. So, so I'm just trying to do something anyway with all the foolishness that's going on. And but yeah, there are resources out there to help marginalized communities. There are people who actually are trying to do something about all the foolishness that's going on. I don't have a good way to vet various organizations to recommend, but for those who do, feel free to recommend them. I'm going to end this now, but I do, definitely stay strong, and somehow, I don't know how, but it is my belief that all this MAGA foolishness will come to an end someday. And when it does, I believe, just like in Germany in 1946, how no one was a Nazi, no one even knew anyone who was a Nazi, if you know what I mean. If you asked anyone. So, and I think that's how it's going to be for MAGA eventually. But when I say I wasn't, I'll be able, as long as nothing happens, but please note, YouTube has its rules, but if any MAGA morons think they're going to come after me, there are going to be some surprise. They are going to run into some surprises. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, so the point is I can take care of myself. It's those who can't that I'm really worried about. Yes, there absolutely are organizations and individuals out there who are helping. So, yeah, stay strong. Someday all this MAGA foolishness is going to be in the history books. So, and I'm doing what little I can with the few resources that I have to try to bring that about. That's all I can. It's really all I can do. If we all stand together, I think we can put all this foolishness in the rearview mirror. With that, I'm going to end it. Stay strong, everyone. Stay safe. And the Martian is taking off.